changed up midweek here. I really thought Monday we had a great scrimmage. Tuesday was a really good practice, and just felt Wednesday night with two out of our first four games at night. Just an opportunity to get under the lights a bit big. So we switched to evening practices here at the latter part of the week. Had probably our most productive, enthusiastic, great tempo practice last night. Really excited about that. We were going to go on the grass fields today just to get them a little bit of that tonight, but obviously with the weather we're going to go indoors. We've actually never practiced in here as a staff and as a team, so we planned it all day, right? I didn't want to have it to be a reactionary plan later on, like, Wednesday of Nebraska week, we got to go inside because of weather, and we've never done it before. So again, kind of a precautionary practice, but really from an injury standpoint, guys are getting healthy. Obviously just saw Mike. I thought he had a really a good week so far. Some of these guys that we're asking them to slowly come back into what they're doing have been very positive. Palcho included in that, Kalon Tolson. So it's been fun to see those guys get involved as well. So with that, open up for some questions.
You mentioned the injuries there last night. It looked like Josh Kreutz, Josh Plor maybe weren't participating. Where are they at right
we got
now?
a little bit of a viral. One's got a couple guys have some strep. So there's some different guys that are out. Nothing serious.
Coach, at what point do you start game planning for Nebraska, or is that something that's already started?
Yeah, for openers, usually 10 days out is when we kind of transition and kind of break camp in theory. But we've obviously sprinkled in certain things that they do, offense, defense. Their offense is a lot different from what our offense does. So there's some things that we do there as well as their defense. So it's kind of been even going back to last spring, we worked some divisional opponents as well as some non-conference opponents into the spring season.
Lots of game film to watch. Nebraska, they don't have much to look at as far as Illinois goes. Do you think that's an advantage for you going into the first game?
Yeah, kind of said all along. Obviously, the great move. The advantage we have is I didn't bring in an Illinois playbook or a defensive playbook or a special teams playbook. It's been a combination of what my coaches have been, where they're at, in addition to what I believe in. So we're kind of an unknown. I think we like that quality and that trait. You don't get to be that way in college football very often, and it's something we'll try to take advantage of.
You recruited Mike's high school hard.
Yeah, St. Thomas.
What was for you to get background on him as you guys work through the process of getting him back here? And how do you build a relationship with him over the phone or FaceTime or Zoom or whatever?
Yeah, I'm from Illinois, right? So my first two states I ever recruited were Illinois, Minnesota. Built great relationships there, and then when I received the assignment to go to South Florida, actually working for Kirk, he gave me the contact to St. Thomas Aquinas. I went in there for the first time. George Smith, who's now retired, I believe I signed probably half a dozen guys out of there when I was at Iowa, then a couple guys when I was at Kansas State, and then several. I believe we had 3 starters on our first Rose Bowl team from St. Thomas Aquinas. Roger Harriet, the head coach there, and I have known each other a long time now. And then when I received when I knew I was becoming the head coach here, they reached out to me right away about Mike and James McCourt, right? And then like today we were watching a run tackle drill that had Philip Dorsett, who's actually a St. Thomas player that went to Miami. I stopped the film and I said, who knows this guy? And those guys piped up right away. So yeah, there's a strong connection. I got a lot of respect for that program and what they've been able to put out. They got players at major colleges all over all over this country, and it's been fun to bring a couple of them here and hopefully open that pipeline up even further.
So I'm assuming if they speak highly of a guy, just with your relationship, I would imagine that carries some weight.
It is. Relationships matter. Josh McRae is here because of a relationship with his head high school coach who originated back in Wisconsin. I built strong ties now with the guys that are in our current recruiting class. The guys are in 2023. I just believe that as a head coach, most kids have a relationship of some fashion with their head coach, right? And especially when you walk into a high school, you can tell right away why places have success. It's fun for me to come back into state. I remember the first time I ever went in Sacred Heart Griffin with Coach Leonard and his son, who's now a head coach of a prominent program, was a high school player, I believe, at the time. So there's relationships matter, and it makes a huge difference in this world.
You've got a lot of different, lots of super seniors on the team.
Yeah.
How's that been coming in as far as morale goes? Getting the younger guys together, so much experience.
Well, it's very unique, right? Like we've this coming Saturday when you guys are invited back for media day, we're gonna have a senior poster, right? And it's something I really believe in. It's usually something where just the seniors have some pose or a theme that they've agreed upon. You know, it might reflect a movie or a trend or something that they can kind of look back on and reflect. But it's hard to fit 40 guys into one photo, right? So, and we got guys that will probably be in next year's senior class again, right? So it's even when NFL scouts are coming through now, to sit down and talk with them, we kind of have the super seniors and then we have the seniors, and it's a very unusual time. And so for that reason, it's the same thing in our team meeting room, right? Like I mentioned all the time to our players, like you've got a lot of valuable. Has the Senior Bowl watch list come out today? Did that come out? Yeah. So like that's a number of guys, and in my opinion, there's probably 4 or 5 that aren't on that list that should be. Sometimes those preseason lists just aren't in tune with what's going on. I saw the largest number in the conference was 10, and in my opinion, I've had a lot of guys playing the Senior Bowl, and there's 4 or 5 guys that have merit or value to do that aren't even listed. So it's a group that's got talent. Talent doesn't win ball games, right? Teams win ball games, so we got to get them all to understand that.
Back to recruiting real quick, Coach. How much are you going to take advantage of the early home opener just to get some kids on campus?
Yeah, we have a huge advantage. I thought Pat's done a nice job of creating some advantages for us and what we can do as far as making contact, having people on campus, doing a variety of different things that give Illinois and really an advantage over Nebraska, right? We get to have this at our campus and open up our campus. So that's an exciting thing. And it's our first rodeo as assistant coaches, right? So assistant being able to have contact face-to-face with a prospect, before the game starts. Now it's a noon kickoff, but maybe we get some of these guys to stay after a little bit the day of the game. So there's a whole path or a whole doorway of opportunity in recruiting that no one else really gets.
I guess in that vein, just with recruiting, I think you're in most of that period now, but September 1st, get back on the road. How do you handle that during the season? And what are you doing now maybe at camp, recruiting-wise?
Yes, so I literally have a daily agenda, right? I come in the morning, usually kind of lay out my plan. We're heavily involved right now with a young man that we think's in decision mode, so I try to send him numerous things during the course of the day. We can't call him, but we can text him. Sent a graphic today to him that accentuated something I know he feels strongly about. Got an immediate reply. We went back and forth, so that part's unlimited, and that's, as a head coach, you just got to find ways to be creative and carve out that time. Usually when I get home in the evening, I'll scroll through social media and pull out things they've retweeted or things they've said, and then I'll give it to our graphic department. Today was a very specific thing. Someone that's interested in a certain line of work, we put them on the set of a sports network, and it's just really kind of cool things, right? That kids are excited about. So I think anything we can do to set ourselves apart from other people is what gives us an advantage.
In season, are you a coach that go out on a Friday night if you can? Or?
I probably won't go on a Friday night. I tell those kids actually during recruiting, right? So if I have a kid that we're recruiting, and maybe Coach X just went to his home game last week, I'm going to say, listen, I appreciate that and I understand where you're coming from, but when you're here, I'm going to be all for you, and I'll have a team meeting with our team. We'll actually go through game plan with my coaches Friday night after the team meeting. I just think it's a very valuable part of building a relationship with your kids, that they know they're in a hotel for a reason, right? It's important for you to have them there with you. I think it's important for them to have me there with them.
You talked about relationships.
Yep.
Talking about kids, and I guess one of your kids is now on your staff, here in Henry. So, how old was he when you met him, and what's it like to see the Chiefs? I guess that everyone keeps talking about translate from players in the system.
Well, I'm not going to report any old recruiting violations, but I think he was 16, if I'm not mistaken, on the practice field when I coincidentally bumped into him at a water fountain, right? He was getting a break. And I just kind of said something like, hey, your coach is going to have some good news for you. And at the time, I was the defensive coordinator, I believe. Didn't even know I was going to be the head coach, but I was the coordinator and I knew he could play, so I offered him as a safety. And then it just kind of grew from there. Aaron's got a lot. He and I have a long history together, a lot of great stories. One of my favorites is he was committed to us, and he asked me to get him in an all-star game, so I helped get him into an all-star game in Orlando. And he went to the all-star game, and he was the best player there. And his in-state school, the University of Florida, won a national championship that year. And they saw him playing. They went to his high school, and their head coach came and offered him a scholarship and so this great idea I had to get him in an All-Star game kind of backfired on me momentarily. So he called me and said, "Hey, I got a coach came from Florida today. They offered me a scholarship." I go, "That's great. They should have offered you a scholarship 2 months ago." And he like made me believe he was decommitting, And so I'm like sitting on the edge of my chair, and he goes, "You know what I told him?" And I'm like, "No, what'd you tell him?" He goes, "I told him I know who I want to play for," and that kind of came full circle. So he definitely knows when he has the upper hand and how to play it. But there's no better representation of what I want in a student athlete than one of my student athletes of the past, right? So him and J-Mo both just tremendous representatives. Taylor Reed, Kevin Richardson, to have those guys walk the hallways and what they represent means a lot.
What do you think about just the energy, I guess, that he has? I mean, he's
Hey,
always...
Hen? Well, if you got to proclaim you have energy, that's your first witness, right? Like, it should ooze out of you, and it oozes out of him. But yeah, he's self-proclaimed juice, right? But he definitely does bring a lot of energy, which is fun to watch.
Taylor West was hired today.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that hire and why you brought her in?
Yeah, Taylor. So I had a lot of you guys know Bree. Bree was our administrative assistant under Coach Smith that he did, and she was awesome. But she informed me early on that she was going to go to law school, and she's entering law school here when school starts back up. So her time, for football was going to be basically annulled. So we kind of went nationally, put out a national search for someone that's going to help me administratively, but also I wanted to grow our recruiting, anything we can steal and put in the recruiting department. So kind of wanted an on-campus recruiting coordinator. And then I think the fact that for me to have a set of eyes and a set of experience that are from not here and also nothing in my background is really good. She had been obviously a student, and I told the players I couldn't hold anything against her. She went to my alma mater as well, right? But she had a recruiting experience at Stanford, had been at a couple spots in college football that were smaller, and sometimes those places got to do things better than anybody else. So that intrigued me. And then I actually knew her parents, from a long time ago, which is kind of crazy, but that really had little to no effect. She just kind of rose to a different level when that pool of candidates, and she's been awesome just in the short amount of time she's been here.
How have you seen Calvin Hart Jr. slide into that linebacker group?
CJ's been awesome, man. He really, he's changed his body. He's a high energy guy. Again, a South Florida guy that really, just brings a lot of confidence, swag. But what I love about him, he's just, he's very intense, learns football very, very well, always got a smile on his face. Mom and dad raised him the right way. He's dad's a preacher. He's got a background. It's just everything we embody and ask for here. So, yeah, I really think he just checks the box in a lot of categories.
Keith Randolph mentioned, though, when he was in high school, it was a lot of go right, go left, and now he's doing a lot of scheme stuff. What kind of advantages or disadvantages come when a kid doesn't have a lot of scheme knowledge into college?
Yeah, I think a lot of our guys, right, are hearing things for the first time they've never heard before, and they've just been open. Even just like Mike, I came down here. I think if you asked him, he probably would tell you like he's hearing things that he hasn't, been exposed to, and our guys are just a sponge. I got to be careful and make sure that we don't tell them things that aren't necessary or can slow them down. I just want them to kind of fully grasp what we're asking. But Keith has been awesome. Like even just something from 2 days ago that we kind of made a correction on, he literally took it to the field an hour later and corrected it. I just very, very impressed. He's very raw. He has no idea how good he's going to be.
How rare is it for a guy to be able to take something to the field that quickly?
It's probably rarer than we would like, but hopefully as coaches you can make that point. I sometimes these guys get tired of me saying things, but I always say practice habits become game day reality. And then one of our missions when we walk through the doors, everybody's supposed to do their job. Their job this afternoon, they came over for 2 hours, was to meet and learn. It had no physical exposure, no exertion of energy. They just need to sit and absorb and learn, and I think they're buying into that.
It's a little bit early to ask you about it, but you're going to be playing a football game on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Do you know of anything special in the works?
No, when I went to B1G Media Days, there was a lot of talk and conversation. Obviously, I remember where I was at when that happened. We were preparing for a interstate battle against Iowa State. It was in my mind forever, right? What everybody went through that day and the days that followed, but nothing has been discussed, at least to me. I know it's been discussed on a bigger platform with Josh and his crew in game management, but nothing with us.
Last question. Can I just ask you about Rod Perry? This guy who's been around college football for a while. What does he bring to that room? He's been All-American.
I just showed a clip of him in this afternoon's meeting. He's got really, really good short area quickness and strength, which is not sometimes you get guys that are really strong, but they're not really quick, or guys that are really quick, but not really strong. He's got the unique ability to do both. High football IQ and acumen. He's coming off an injury, so it's kind of been new for him to see and hear everything, but he is a very, very talented guy that if he plays to the potential that he has, he could be a guy that makes a big difference for us this year.